Hey, what's up? How's it going? Are you ready? Ready for chapter 6? Me too. Chapter 6 is going to be great because we're talking about miracles. And who doesn't love a miracle? Did you know that you are a miracle? You. Yes, you are a living, breathing, walking miracle. Who doesn't love miracles? We all do. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Chapter 6, put yourself in miracle territory. It says you can attract your own miracles. And I'm like, I can? And I'm like, I know that I can. I actually believe that with my whole heart. I took so many notes in this chapter. I'm going to try to keep it concise. But I took a lot of notes. And I think that I took a lot of notes because just one, the word miracle just implies the impossible. The word miracle implies things that one might not necessarily think could be true, but one hopes happens. That's my definition. It's something that could be true, it could happen, and we hope it happens. And in some instances, it does happen. This chapter I thought was amazing because he says, hey, P.S., by the way, you're out here hoping for miracles to happen. He says, stop hoping for miracles. Just put yourself in miracle territory. And the way that he described miracle territory related to my old athletic version of myself. And I'm like, of course you can put yourself in miracle territory. Now he says, most people think that miracles are a phenomenon of nature or some sort of supernatural wonder. But miracles are born of intention. So we talked about this a little last chapter. Have the intent. Make the decision. Do not fear. Just say yes to whatever it is you want to achieve, whatever it is you want to do, wherever it is you want to go. You have to start with the intention. Have the intention. And then once you have the intention, he says, if you perform to the best of your ability, that is going to get you into miracle territory. So one, all right, I want to win the lottery. One, I want to be great at what I do. One, I want to, have purpose. And I want to fulfill my purpose, and I want to be happy on a regular basis. And he says, if I can perform to the best of my ability, that's going to get me into miracle territory. He says that for him, his story is so improbable. If you've been reading through the chapters with me, you know that he started at close to the bottom. Okay. He didn't really start at the bottom. He put himself into the bottom because, his family situation really wasn't all that bad. But somewhere along the lines, he ended up homeless and living in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans. You know the story. I'm sure you know the story at this point in time. And he goes to school, drops out of school, goes to college, drops out of college, manages to teach or get a job teaching people about the importance of education, helping them with their GED, gets a job at, helping mentor students in admissions maybe. I don't remember. I didn't write that part off the top. I did not write that part down. But I can't remember if it's admissions or it's a mentoring position of some sort. Anyway, he's mentoring students at a college. And is not in college and didn't graduate from college. I was like, how did you end up here? And he realized that in order for him to be effective and efficient, he probably should finish school. So took him 12 years, he says. Took me 12 years to finish a 4-year degree. Took him 12 years to finish the 4-year degree. But he finished the 4-year degree. And not only did he finish the 4-year degree, he went on to get his master's. And he didn't even stop there. He was like, I'm not done yet. Since we're here, we might as well just go ahead and finish up. He went on to get his PhD. And you're talking about the miracle of all miracles. Because who do you know that was homeless and ended up earning their PhD in the same lifetime. Like, it's got to be a miracle of some sort. But for him, he says, nope, not a miracle. No, I was just in the right place with the right people, walking through with my passion and my purpose, and living, living the life that he hoped to live. He says that miracles are the things we wish for. Miracles are the things that we wish for, but also if you have a miracle that you're wishing for, set intentions for those miracles. He continued to tell his story, and it's interesting in this going from being homeless to a PhD, how much you have to realize how much he sacrificed and how much his family sacrificed for him to get from point A to point B. I wrote down, and this isn't in the chapter, but I wrote down sacrificed to move from what was comfortable for him and his family, to walk in his miracle, to get to the next level. If you, again, read the story, you know that, he kind of made it. He's like, all right, I'm kind of here. And then he decided to uplift and move his whole family from comfortability because he knew that there was more for him and more for his family somewhere else. And he was willing to take the risk. And not only did he take the risk, his wife begrudgingly took the risk as well. And now you see the successful version of Dr. Thomas today. You see that, but that's not because it was a miracle. It looks like one. And I think that's something that strikes me too, because when I talk to students, I always talk to them about the story that they're going to get to tell. I said, just think about how hard it is for you right now. Think about what you're going through right now. And think about the story you're going to get to tell when this is all done. The story is going to sound like you just overachieved. The story is going to sound like you achieved the impossible, that you are an overachiever, that you went above and beyond, but really that you did the impossible feat. But you have to make it through this day. You have to make it through the small challenges, the obstacles, or the large challenges and obstacles of this day. And if you can do that, then your story is going to be amazing. He said that after he had kind of made it through to a point of stability, comfortability, he said he felt like he was a plant that outgrew a pot and his roots were getting ready to break through the container. And I said, isn't that the truth about most people? That get to a point in life and they just sit there and they're like, look at me, I'm a plant, I'm flowering, I'm doing great. And this resonates with me because I have the spirit of a gardener. And I added to this because it's important to know that if you leave a plant in a pot, that it's not going to break through the container. That's not how this happens. That's not what goes on. What actually happens if you sit and the roots continue to grow as they spiral around and they become root bound and they lack nutrients because there's no more nutrients, there's no more soil anymore, and you can suffocate. The plant will suffocate and will die if it stays in the container. And so I thought, some people who are comfortable, like stop being comfortable. Okay. If it's time to uproot, if it's time to get a new pot, just get a new pot. It's okay. Otherwise, you're just going to suffocate and die. That's what happens to plants. Again, I added that in there. Didn't say that. But true story. He says that if you become an asset to the people around you, you begin to attract opportunity. And opportunity is miracles in its own right. And I agree. If you, and this is probably the introvert in me. I would hold on to information. I would be cautious with getting to know people. I still am those things. I have to make an actual effort to not do that. But the more I realize that, the more I realize, I just want to share. I want the information to get out there. I want people to know what they need to know. And if I have information that could be helpful to them being successful, I might as well just give it. And I notice that the more that I do that, the more opportunities open, the more easy things seem. So if this is you, make sure that you are being an asset to people. It's not about you all the time. It's not about me all the time. I'm not even about an about me kind of person. I'm just a private person. And so sometimes I just forget to share. So much I really do have to make an effort to say, hey, probably should have to speak up. Like it's not natural for me. Like you should say something. You should say so. You see them over there. You don't want them to fall down. You should probably say something like that's not safe for you. Don't be over there. Or you can probably get through this obstacle. Let me show you how. You should probably say something. So if you're an asset to people around you, you begin to attract opportunity. His opportunity kind of started with the guru story, and I am going to flip the page to 141 because I do want to kind of go over that a little with you. If you've heard of Dr. Eric Thomas before, chances are very likely that you know him through this video. And the reason that I know him is actually through this video. I was sitting on a bus with a bunch of my athletes. We were heading to a track meet at the time. And one of my athletes came over and said, have you heard this guy speak? And I was like, no. And she said, you got to listen to this story. So I will make sure that I link the guru story. I'm sure I can find it. I haven't watched it in a while. I will link it in the comments. But if you were looking for some additional motivation, if you're looking for a boost of energy, this is it. And again, we were on our way to a track meet, and so we're talking about trying to pull the best out of people who have a desire to perform well when a gun sounds. If you're looking for some extra motivation, this is it. All right, let me see. Page 141. And this story is about success. And it says here, do you want to know what the secret to success is? People say, do you know the secret to success? And then what's the secret, guru? Okay. And the guru says, if you want to learn the secret, meet me down by the beach early tomorrow morning. So the next morning, the man shows up at the beach in a suit to meet the guru. He shows up in a suit because he wants to be good at business. I skipped that part, but let's get back on track. The guru tells the man to follow him out to the water. And the man looks at the guru like he's crazy, but he does it anyway. And when the water is chest high, the guru shoves the man's head down and holds him under the water until he's struggling, flailing his arms. Eventually, the guru lets the man to the surface. When he finally catches his breath, the guru asks, when you were underneath the water, what did you want more than anything? And I'm not going to tell you the rest of the story. But I can tell you, if you want to know the rest, watch the video. It's super motivational. And it is a reminder, like, if I truly do want to be successful at something, this is what it takes. And you can't come up short. You can't come up shy. Otherwise you die, really. Otherwise your goals die. Otherwise your dreams die, your hopes, your aspirations, they die. So you have to make an absolute commitment to that. The guru story, it's a good one. You should watch it. Linked below. Okay. He also says that he came up with a guru story, just so you know, for students, which is great, right? Like, we're always trying to find a way to motivate other people. I think we try to find a way to motivate other people because we believe in people. We want people to do well. And so this story was for a group of students because he wanted the students to feel his words. And I believe they were felt. He says that in order to put yourself in miracle territory, you also have to be willing to do something new. So willing to step outside of the box, willing to challenge yourself, willing to seek out advice, willing to seek out other experts. You got to do something more than continuing to do the same thing over and over again. I personally have a challenge to myself, and that challenge is, I want to take my time to get great at what I do. And so usually takes me a smidge longer than everyone else. Everyone else is trying to rush to get there. I understand that it's about the journey. So we're going to take our time on this journey. We're going to get the things right. We're going to, evaluate. We're going to ask all the questions. And then it takes me a little bit extra time. But when I get there, like, we are firing, we are on point. And then once I get to that point of feeling like everything's exactly where it needs to be, I go back. And I'm like, what can I tweak here? What can I do here? What can I get better at here? What can I add here? Where can I learn this here? And I continue to manipulate and maneuver and just magnify whatever this version of success is, to making it as large as I possibly can and as unique as I possibly can. I think that is also one of my superpowers. I don't know what yours are. Hopefully you listed some below when I go, or in the last video, 2 videos ago in the superpower chapter. But I think that I have just a desire to go outside of the box. I want to do what everybody else is doing. I'm like, I already seen that. I seen it. We did it. I want to do something better, something new. Challenge accepted. Let's do that. What I love about how he wraps up this chapter is how he reminds us, one, going through this story, telling us of putting yourself in miracle territory, but also telling us of his story, how he ended up in miracle territory, how he ended up successful. And I knew, I didn't even get to the part in the chapter where it was written down. I already wrote it down. I wrote down, it's like, okay, well, this man went from here to here to here and did this and this and this and has this and has this and has this. And what you see on a regular basis is the shiny version. You see the shiny version. So what you don't see that he's been doing this for a really long time. You don't see that he's been practicing this for a really long time. You don't see that he has been walking in miracle territory for years. And I think that's probably the issue that we all might have a little bit. We look over and we're like, wow, how did you get that? And the answer is practice. I practiced and 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 practiced until it ended up exactly the way I wanted it to end up, until it ended up exactly right. He quoted Lance Armstrong in this chapter, and I'm going to super shrink paraphrase the quote. And the paraphrase is, pain is temporary. All the struggles you're going to go through, temporary. All the hard things you're going to go through, temporary. All the obstacles you're going to face, temporary. But if you quit, that lasts forever. So really being intentional on making decisions on what it is you want, and then not stopping at anything until you get there. If you quit, it's over. You don't have a chance. The rest of it, we just figure it out. We just move through, moving around. We'll get there. Miracles, he says, come to you when you are the most you. And I believe that also. Miracles come to you when you are the most you. So stop trying to be like everyone else. Do not compare yourself to everyone else's successes. Do not compare yourself to everyone else's lifestyles. Those aren't for you. Miracles come to you when you are the most you. So celebrate you. And I think I'm going to continue to tell people that. Actually, I'm just going to write that down. Celebrate you is going to be a quote at some point in time that I'm just going to write everywhere. We do too much looking at what other people have. There's no power there. You want to make sure that you are doing things for you. Your goals, your dreams, your desires, your wishes, your wants, those are all worthy. They're all worthy. He also says that, people who have gone before us into unfamiliar territory are the best models to help us understand the expansiveness of what miracles can look like. And again, I agree here. Don't go through this thinking that you are the only person in the world who's going through this thing. You're the only you who is going through this world trying to get what you want, but you're not the only person who's going through. So being able to use that as motivation or as proof that, hey, if that person over there did it, yeah, so can I. They're a person, I'm a person too. If they did it, I can do it too. The last couple of things from this chapter that I got out of this is visualize your miracles. Visualize your miracles. And I always felt like, as an athlete, we have like an unfair advantage because of all the tools that we're continually taught to achieve goals. And I feel like we have an unfair advantage because that was just my life. You have to let me know if whatever realm you chose in your life, if you felt the same way, if you felt cared for the same way, guided in the same way, encouraged in the same way. But in athletics, definitely visualization is huge. And for Dr. Thomas, he visualized himself being successful in education. He started off as a high school dropout, but he said he would put on a cap and visualize himself walking across the stage. And so every time things got tough, he would visualize himself walking across the stage, and eventually he made it. I know that athletes are required to do the same thing. You visualize yourself being successful. I've visualized a 400-meter dash a million times. I could run it in my head right now. I know what happens when I get in the blocks. I know what happens when I'm waiting for the gun to go off. I know what happens when the gunman says set. I know what happens when the gun sounds. I know what happens in the first 3 steps. I know what happens in the first 100 meters. I know what happens and where I'm going to be when I get to 200 meters. I have visualized that 400-meter dash a million times because I knew how I wanted that race to go for me. And I saw huge success in visualization. I didn't lift weights for like an entire summer once and decided, bad idea, by the way, that I was going to visualize myself lifting heavier weights when I returned. And so I would sit there and I would pretend that I had the bar at my ankles and that I would be deadlifting more, and I would feel the tenseness in my muscles. And I just said, hey, they say visualization works. I'm going to visualize. I'm going to test it out. When I got back, blown away. I was like, this works. I don't know what it is. Your brain is a powerful thing. It works. Visualization. Visualize yourself doing the thing you say you want to do. See it. Be it. You can do it. I promise. Other things that athletes are required to do, they're required to watch themselves. They're like, let's go to the film. And you have to sit there and you have to watch all the things. You watch it back and you pick apart all the things you did wrong and right, so that way you can go back to the drawing board with your map, with your outline, with your goal, with your plan, with your structure, so that you can get better. That's the idea at the end of the day. We're all just trying to be better than we were the day before. And again, I think that we have the tools we need. Sometimes we just get a little lost in the journey. He says, one of the last things that I'm going to cover today, he says, have you ever felt like you were in the right place at the right time? Have you ever felt like you're in the right place at the right time? He said, chances are, if you've ever felt that way, you've probably figured out how to put yourself into miracle territory. And if you know how to do that, well, then you're probably going to run across a lot of miracles. And if you know how to run across miracles, share that information with everybody, okay? Because we're all trying to get some miracles. All right. That is it for chapter 6. We are going to staring down the last few chapters. I think it's chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. So we're a couple of chapters away. We'll be talking about chapter 7 next week. And I am excited to chat with you more then. Become a triple threat. If you want to chat about this or anything else positive, come back next week and I'll see you then. All right, take care. Bye.